The next event is this summer in July, Shamanism and Herbalism, which is the topic of Matt's most recent book. This is going to be a retreat, and we're going to be at the beautiful Art of Living Retreat Center in Boone, North Carolina. And this is going to be like no other teaching on shamanism and herbalism as Matt has given so far. First of all, it's going to be a multiple night, multiple day event. So it's just chock full of amazing information, including herb walks, of course, whenever we can get out. We'll get to see what's in that local area. Lots of storytelling and just lots of good stuff. So, Matt, you want to share a few words of what you especially have planned for this unique event at this really, I mean, definitely check out this amazing location just in the banner photos. Beautiful.
Okay, so part of the shamanic path is the stories, like literally you hear the stories and they sink down into your unconscious, and sometimes they assist you in dream time, and you are like able to, you're having a dream and you need that guidance, and the story comes to your assistance. I remember this, well, just to be personal, you really can get kidnapped by the fairies. They are kind of dangerous. They're kind of like the tumblers of creation, making and unmaking things, and the doorways into their realm are made and unmade constantly. So you got to be very careful. And I dreamed about them, and I felt endangered from that point on. And finally, I had a dream one night where I saw the fairies marching to war, and I was in a half fairy, half human regiment there. And as I woke up, they were marching, and I understood. And then the Ballad of Tam Lin came to me, which is a story about how Tam Lin is captured by the fairies, and Fair Janet has to, the daughter of the king, has to rescue him, and she has to hold on to him no matter what, as he changes from one animal to another, and finally she wrestles him out of the grip of the Queen of the Fairies. Was mad about it. But they're marching. They march on All Souls Day or All Saints Day. And as I was waking up, I heard that song, and I knew, I'm safe at last, because that is the song about when the fairies march. And another variation is when you see the fairies in the throne room of the fairies, all in order, all the little ones, big ones. There are all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and then you're no longer subject to their they're fascinating no matter what. They're fascinated with us, see, because we have these juicy souls and deep feelings and things, and they're more like creational energy, so they don't have that, and they produce magic from our standpoint because they can create things in an instant. Well, so there's a shamanic story there. I guess I told a story, and that's why we need to internalize them. And when in Native American teachings you ask a question, they don't always tell you, the answer is A, B, C, D, E, logical syllogism. They just tell you a story that's similar to your question that gives the answer, but you have to figure that out. You have to see that it's similar, and you have to believe it, and that's called deserving to know. And also, there's different speech patterns. The kind of indigenous ancient way of speaking did not have the syllogism, did not have logic. It was teaching by similarity or contrast or wordplay, and that reaches a different part of the mind. I guess that would be the right side of the brain. And then logic, the modern, started about 450 BC with the Greeks, and they named both sides because they were there, phosis and logos. And logos took over, and everybody thinks the only way to think nowadays is logic. Like, if something, blah, 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 test, then result. That's would also be a modern scientific experiment based on that. And we think truth is based on that. Well, sorry, guys, if you hadn't figured that out yet, that's not truth. That's just material knowledge. And that's not spiritual knowledge. So don't rely on it for believing in God or fairies or the spiritual world. Has nothing to do with it. It's a different sort of knowledge. It's completely different. Okay, so that's storytelling. What else is on that list there?
Intuitive healing skills, practical herbal knowledge, nature-based integration. But I did find a nice little, usually I wouldn't read a description like this, but it's a very good description.
Yeah.
So discover the hidden language of nature. Discover the transformative wisdom of shamanism and herbalism in a retreat that reconnects you with the profound teachings of plants, animals, and the natural world. Guided by renowned herbalist and educator Matthew Wood, this experiential journey blends ancient traditions with modern understanding, offering you tools to awaken your spiritual path. Deepen self-awareness and unlock the healing power of nature. Learn to listen to the language of nature. Explore plant and animal medicines and rediscover your connection to the living world around you. If you go to the Matthew Wood Institute of Herbalism homepage, which I'll show you in a moment also, you can get an intro class to the topic of animal medicines, and also a link to Matt's book on this subject.
Yes, and this will be probably the first experiential class that I'm going to teach on shamanism. I haven't been able to figure out how to duplicate my own experiences with, well, I have a little bit years ago, but with the shamanic world. Years ago, I taught with a woman in New York. She's in Massachusetts now, Vanessa Shakur, who is a retired female boxer. And we found that just, practicing boxing puts you in that fight state, that puts you in that dopamine animal medicine, animal state. And people just right fresh out of Manhattan that you would have never thought they would have been able to make that jump to my animal self. But they could because, A, I was telling stories about different animals, and B, they were doing that boxing. So I don't know, maybe we can work with John, Tara's husband, John, on martial arts is similar. You learn how to think from your animal self, and that reveals that. And that's an essential part. You have to integrate the human and the animal, and that allows you to integrate the spirit. The spirit does not just want the human alone. The human is too unreliable, mischievous, and stupid, frankly. The animal with the animal's instincts is much sharper. But finally, I figured out additional ways is through the plant attunement. Yeah, Judy and I and John and I at one point have done plant attunements online, even through our institute some. But I never lined it up, the herbs that you would want to know that really help you with the shamanic lessons. And I'm going to be working on that and trying to get that together. We may do a little bit of that precursor. We're certainly doing it with the pineal gland in March in New Mexico. But we will be doing this. I'll have that material much better organized. It actually goes back to my first book, too, 7 Herbs, Plants as Teachers, which is actually a shamanic range of plants, but I want to work on that a little bit more according to my modern understandings. And we do have a class on that, on Chatwa and I, on the Institute, by the way, which is his 7 years of meditation with those 7 plants. So he wanted to do some teaching on that, but he's had medical problems. But okay, so that is what we're doing in North Carolina in a nutshell. So it's a little bit more experiential. Of course, experience depends on you guys. Oh, let's see. There we go. Oh, in the Indian world, they don't point. That's something. Arlo used to always point like that. It's bad manners. It's a white man's. It's like, hey, you. It's like, oh, what? Don't be so overt. So in the Indian world, it was like that.
So would you say the shamanic herbalism, it ties together your most recent book, which is animal medicines. There's, we'll get out for a shamanic
herbal. Yeah. It's the name.
And get out, even just experience the plants, of course, basically in the sense of herb walks whenever we can. Some plant journeying where possible as well. Do people need to come in with previous experience in shamanism or herbalism?
Well, I hope not. I hope it's for every level that's my intention. I would say there's not too many people teaching this way, although just as we were warming up, Susan Leopold, that we're going to get to in a few minutes, she mentioned someone doing herbs and spirituality for spiritual attunement using that method. So I think we're jumping, this method is quite new. Dr. Bach used it, and then the flower essence people, and then everybody started using it, and plant attunement. But when I was young, it was a new idea. That would be the 80s, 90s. And now we can move on to maybe even definite knowledge, planning it out to accomplish things through plant journeying. And this actually fits when I was a kid, I'd never heard of Dr. Bach. I thought, wow, the humans are so unreliable, but the plants, they are timeless. They take 100 million years to 100,000 years to evolve into a different species. And so they're pretty fixed. They just keep with the same thing. And I studied botany when I was young in order to facilitate this. And so we're working on this. Also, Rudolf Steiner said, if you can't find a teacher, go out and tune into plants. So he was talking about it before Dr. Bach, but he didn't give really directions. He was quite a good herbalist for a spiritual teacher, but he wasn't really, that wasn't his main calling, so he wasn't as experienced that way. One of his mentors was an herbalist. Okay, well, I don't have too much more to say about it.
Well, we get a lot of feedback, especially those in the year one program at the Matthew Wood Institute of Herbalism, that it's the spiritual aspect of herbalism that really attracts them, and that, that there's something inside of them that they love the herbs to begin with, but either they come in already having a connection with the herbs,
yes,
or they come in desiring that connection, and that we meet both of those types of people. And so what I understand, this, as we answered the questions to put together the class description and so forth for this retreat, is an actual retreat of 3 days, 2 nights in this really beautiful location in the mountains of North Carolina. Is that it's a way to kind of break away, like any retreat is, right? You break away from your day-to-day life, go to a lovely location, and to have some guidance or just experience on a deeper level with the plants.
Yes, and I think some of these, I'm realizing how these things are coming into their time. Rudolf Steiner said that, but he didn't really he didn't try to teach that way. And now we're really doing that, organizing our knowledge by plant and trying to pass that on. And I think there'll be more and more of this. And this is all part of building the new world, which is emerging on the ashes of the old world. What is the old world? Just so completely materialistic based, non-spiritual, in denial about anything, about the imagination, the animal instincts, everything that intuition, everything has to be rational, and yet everybody uses those things all the time. Scientists are always imagining things. They're always intuiting. They're always using their instincts. They're always driving carefully because of their instincts. But they pretend that type of knowledge is completely irrelevant and should not be cultivated. Wrong. It should be cultivated. It can be cultivated separately or with that scientific model, but we just need to define what we're doing carefully. I guess intellect, the other I. So we have I, imagination, intellect, instinct, intuition. I think that's Steiner actually included 3 of those 4 I's. Yes. Okay. So a new world we're creating here, all of us together. And I find too, I remember when Joe Lee, who's taught plant wisdom, plant spirituality, and plant attunement, very good at it. But I remember she took my classes. She was so tortured she couldn't tune into nature, and finally, then boom, she did into the elder tree, and her whole life changed, and she was cheerful and happy after that. And so that's happening for lots and lots of us. So yeah, there was always a day one for all of us, reborn into this living world. Yeah.
So those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about in-person events that Matt will be teaching at this year in this summer, essentially in 2025. We're just wrapping up talking about his Shamanism and Herbalism retreat in North Carolina at the Art of Living Retreat Center. Awesome. And just go to our homepage and you'll see the information here. You can also go to our calendar for this and other in-person events. And you can click here to learn more about the event. And like I mentioned, we do have an intro course. If you click on either of these green links, they'll take you to our page that is our intro class, to animal medicines. And here you'll get some nifty downloadable infographics to help you start learning about animal medicines. You'll also see the event again. You'll get a link to Matt's recent book, A Shamanic Herbal, on this topic, which is so robust with all this information.
Yeah.
And you can sign up for the free intro class as well.
Yes.
So we hope you join us. It's going to be, this is being hosted by the Art of Living Retreat Center. You can email us at hello@woodherbs.com if you have questions, and if we can't answer your questions, we'll hand you off to them. But we look forward to seeing a bunch of people there. We know that people have been really eager for in-person events, and we have one more event to share with you, as well as a special guest to help share about this event. Thanks for joining us. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit our website at matthewwoodinstituteofherbalism.com. You can find all of our social links in the description below. Also, please subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with the latest videos.